Hi, welcome to Katrina's Creations. This is Yarn-cation day 4, and we don't have any yarn shops today, not for lack of trying. We tried to go to 2 different ones, and sadly both of them have gone out of business. Apparently one went out in December, and the other one, I don't know how long it's been out of business. And then my husband tried to go to a shop, and come to find out the business he was looking for had been out of business for 8 years. So people need to update their websites better. So anyway, totally like 3 strikes you're out today as far as the yarn shops go. So I thought I would show you really quick on the projects I'm working on, how far I've gotten, and then I've got some other footage and stuff for you for today. This is my Drakenfels. This is how far I've gotten. So I haven't gotten too far because the other night I was winding the yarn into skeins and dropped this ball of yarn. Oh, it's got fuzz. Dropped this ball of yarn onto the floor and it got all tangled up, and yeah. So I spent several hours getting it untangled. And this is my on the spice market so far. It starts down here and is working its way up. So that is that so far. So what did we do today? Well, we actually drove down into Newport and we did the Ocean Drive, which goes around the coastline. So I am going to be inserting some footage of the Ocean Drive is what it's called, and especially there's some spots where I put music in where you're seeing some of the bigger mansions and things along the coast, along Bellevue Avenue. But along the coastline, when I did some filming, I just left it with just the sound of the ocean, because we are getting the tailwinds coming off of Hurricane Marie coming up. Now the weather has been gorgeous, but the winds are picking up. They are having 7 to 11 foot waves. So there's a lot of surf crashing going on. Apparently it even swept a lady off of a rock last night and took her out to sea about 400 yards, and they had to rescue her, and she's fine apparently. But so the surf was really up, and it was just really pretty to watch it splash and hear it crashing. So I didn't put any music in the background just so you could see and hear it. We also ran into a lot of monarch butterflies that were out, so I put some photographs in of the monarch butterflies that we ran across. And so I'm going to also insert a little bit about the history of Newport, and then I'll let the footage roll for today. And don't forget to leave me a question below for our giveaway for the mystery yarn skein to be given away. You have to leave a question for me in the comment section below, and if you do so, you're allowed 1 entry per day, and then I will be drawing on Saturday to see who won. And yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed and would like to get notifications of when I post, just click the little red subscribe button down below. And with that, I will put the footage on, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great night. It's Yarn-cation, and today we are going into Newport, Rhode Island. So I thought I would tell you a little bit about the history of Rhode Island, just a little bit of history about Rhode Island and the Newport area. So Rhode Island itself is the smallest state in the United States, and it became a state in 1791. And the main capital is Providence, and where we are going to be staying just outside of Newport. So we are roughly, I think it's 37 miles south of Providence, Rhode Island. Now, Providence had a lot of the settlers that were the first settlers for Rhode Island were from different religious groups, and as a result, the oldest Jewish synagogue is in Newport. It's Touro Synagogue. The oldest Quaker meeting house in the United States is also in Newport. And the oldest Baptist church in America is in Providence. And interestingly enough, some of my ancestors, well, they were some of the original Puritans, not to be confused with Pilgrims, but Puritans that came over in the 1630s. My family came in 1631. Anyway, some of my first generation, I'm the 11th generation since they came over, and so some of that first generation, the brothers and sisters in that family, some of them went with Roger Williams to found the first Baptist church that was in Rhode Island, actually in the United States. So I guess they would be my 11th generation ago aunts and uncles, something like that. I'm not real sure, but you get the picture. So that is part of Rhode Island. Newport itself, interestingly enough, I mean, it's mostly known for the Gilded Age, which was like from the mid-1800s to about 1930. And the very, very wealthy that lived both in the north and the south would come up to Newport because of the temperatures, especially in the summertime. It was a cool spot to get away from. And so the very, very rich built these cottages that are huge. And they would stay there during the summer months, and they would have parties at each other's house, and each different hostess tried to outdo the other person. So some of the parties were like unbelievable and very, very extravagant. And the houses are still open today because, of course, when the Depression hit the United States in the late 1920s and into the 1930s, that's when the Gilded Age ended, because they had a lot of money, I guess, in the stock markets and things, and so they lost a lot of money. So that's when the Gilded Age came to an end. And a lot of these mansions over the years have been opened up to the public to go through. So I'm not sure offhand. There's like 7 or 8 you can go through, but there's 5, I think it's around 5 that are the most popular. So a few years ago, my husband and I went to the Breakers, which is the largest of all the mansions. And it was like astounding that people lived there. It was a house, but not a home, if you know what I mean. It wasn't some place you felt like you could kick your shoes off and stick them up on the sofa. In fact, one room we were in, there was like the silver type of metal in the corners that were supposed to be protecting the corners, I guess, of the wallpaper. And the tour guide told us that for years they thought that it was real silver. Well, come to find out it wasn't silver. They found out just a few years ago it's actually platinum. Yeah, can you imagine somebody putting that on their walls? But they had platinum. So, like I said, the house is very opulent. They had this marble bathtub that the maids would have to fill and empty 4 or 5 times because, you know, the marble would be so cold that even with the hot water, it wouldn't heat the tub up. So they would have to fill and empty the tub over and over and over again until it would warm up the marble enough to keep the water warm. So, yeah, that's they had a children's playhouse that was probably the size of some people's like full-size ranch houses today. I mean, it was probably maybe 1,000 to 1,200 square feet, and that was the children's playhouse. So we are going to go into one of the mansions this time. I'm not sure which one yet. It might be the Elms. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which one we're going to go into, but we are going to go see one of the mansions. They don't let you take pictures on the inside, but I will try to get some pictures on the outside for everybody and tell you a little bit about it. The other thing with Newport, and it's a sad part of the U.S. history, but it happened, and we need to remember that it happened so we never make the mistake again, so we hopefully learn from our mistakes. But Newport was one of the largest ports for the slave trade during the 17 up to the mid-1800s. And the reason for that was it was called the Triangle Trade, and they would have ships come up from the Caribbean carrying rum and molasses from the sugar plantations, and they would bring them up into Newport Harbor, And Rhode Island itself had 30 rum distilleries, 22 of which were in the town of Newport at one time. And so they would bring these ships in with the cargo for molasses and sugarcane, which is what they would then convert to rum. And the rum was then put onto the ships, and they would sail from Newport to West Africa, where they would trade the rum for slaves, and then they would transport the slaves from West Africa back to the Caribbean to work on the sugar plantations. So, like I said, that is a sad part of our history, but hopefully we learn from that so we don't make the same mistake. But you can't ignore it. It did happen, and there were people that were very sadly affected by this. So, like I said, it's something we should never forget because of the people that were affected. And, yeah. So, anyway, we are going to Newport today and going to go check it out, and I'll show you what we see. So, thanks for watching and stay tuned. Okay, there's Dave. Dave, tell us what you're eating.
Enchiladas.
What kind? Chicken? Chicken enchiladas.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
Chicken enchiladas and taquitos. And then over here we have a taco and a burrito and some rice and some French fries. And Dave's got beans and corn and sour cream.